Good morning, good morning. Title of the video is Do This Instead of Voting. I've been, it's election day. It's selection day. I've been reading a bunch of posts by Rob Skiba, who is a Hebrew roots guy, which I appreciate that. However, he's going on a big tear, trying to persuade his followers to vote for Trump. Similar to a whole lot of other voices online. And basically using the excuse that if the only options are is you got to vote or you've done nothing and you're just allowing evil to run rampant. So as if those are the only two options, is just to sit on your hands and do absolutely nothing, or to vote. And I say voting is even worse than sitting on your hands and doing nothing, because you're participating and giving consent. And that's what this whole system wants, is our attention. It's a parasitic system that lives off of our fear and our emotions, psychodrama, non-stop trauma-based mind control. The entire system is just trauma-based mind control. So through fear of what Biden might do, or fear of what Trump might do, people continue to vote for this nonsense, and it continues to get worse and worse and worse. And it just gets worse and worse. It gets worse and worse. It's 2016, and all the Trump people going, yeah, awesome, our guy won. Well, look at 2020. You know what I mean? It wasn't Hillary that presided over the greatest lockdown in American history. It was Trump that presided president. And then there's just all of these excuses why it's not his fault. Do you remember watching, way back when I was a Babylonian, I used to watch Trump's Apprentice show, and if you were the CEO for that given week, the outcome for your team was your responsibility. Regardless, the outcome, that's what it means to be a CEO. That's what it means to be a leader, is that you take responsibility for the outcome of your team, regardless of all of the excuses, all of the reasons why it's not your fault. Meanwhile, you listen to Trump supporters. I say they're all bank puppets. I'm not, I'm a conservative, and I believe in biblical economics and the wisdom found in the Bible. So, I get that Trump is more closely aligned. Done with you. Okay, somebody's mad because I don't support voting. So that's what happens is you have this, oh, I'm done with you. Like, I'm not done with, people want to vote, great, vote. You're just participating in a system that is not scriptural. There's no voting in the Bible. The believers were not ever supposed to be picking their leaders in that way. Yah was supposed to pick the leaders, and if there's two people that were vying for the same position, then Yah would make the selection by casting lots. So you can read about that in Acts 1. In the very beginning of Acts, Judas needed to be replaced because he killed himself because he betrayed our king. And there are two people vying that were qualified. Number one, the candidates need to be qualified. They need to be members of your tribe that everybody's known for their whole lives. That their background is thoroughly examined. They need to know that they're repentant, that they're believers, and that they wish to observe Yah's law. Okay, so what happens is, like I said, you have people that believe if you don't vote, you're not doing anything. There's no other solution. So I want to put forward the biblical solution of what we're supposed to be doing. And the biblical solution for what we're supposed to be doing is preparing for Exodus. We should view the world today as the Israelites in captivity. We are in captivity right now. It's actually a promise by Yah from Deuteronomy 28 that if his bride, which is his people, refuse to obey him and they go whoring with other gods, which we are doing by whoring with Uncle Sam and Rothschild and Caesar and Pharaoh, which is what we're doing right now, then we will be put back into Egyptian captivity. Yah promises that if his bride goes whoring, that he himself will put her back into Egyptian captivity. That's exactly what has happened. That's what the example in the book of Judges is. All right, so the government that we should be forming, the government that we should be submitting to, per Romans 13, is tribal Exodus government, judges of tens, 50s, hundreds, and thousands. So you see a sea of people going on to Facebook every day, and they're judging. They're judging. Oh, is this guy a good guy? Is this initiative a good initiative? Is this solution they're judging. They're judging. Meanwhile, they refuse to become biblical judges, despite us being born to fulfill that role. We should be biblical judges. Yah promises he's going to reestablish his judges as he did at the start. So now let's apply that in the real world. What does that mean? Okay, how would things be different if we establish biblical judges? Well, number one, the whole abortion train would be ended, because in that area where biblical judges are formed, the men and women surrender to it, and the way that would start is just collaborate with men in your locale. And the way that I'm personally trying to do that right now is, it's kind of hard to meet people and meet the right kind of people that would be committed to this path. But the only way that happens is you need, the way I view it, is you need men with children. And those men with children will hopefully be willing to lay down their lives to protect their children. So in my community, I've started coaching soccer about a year ago, and we started a team called the Serpent Crushers. And since we've been doing that over the past year, with the corona thing, a lot of people checked out and there was a very low attendance, but it's finally starting to get traction, and a lot of dads are showing up. We maybe have 7, 8 dads that I interact with on a regular basis that I didn't know before. And a year ago, I didn't know most of these dads. But now, we are meeting, and they're seeing what's happening, and they're given two options. So they see the chaos and the the leftist cities and they see how they're defunding the police, which I don't really care about that much, because if you establish biblical judges, number one, you have a bulwark against the commies that are going to come through your neighborhood potentially. Biblically, there's no rights in the Bible. We have a responsibility to be armed. I mean, my goodness, could you imagine what would happen to a bunch of Antifa if they came into a community which is controlled by biblical judges? Oh my gosh. I mean, you have to realize that the U.S. Constitution, that's liberal. That's for liberals. That's how based biblical judges are. The Constitution is for liberals. Man cannot define good and evil. We, the people, cannot define good and evil. We are sinners. We don't define good and evil. Yah defines good and evil. So that is how different a worldview, a perspective, biblical judges is. Additionally, by forming biblical judges, you're surrendering to Yah's law. Yah creates the law. The biblical judges just impose the law. They just adjudicate based upon Yah's law. And that means we then have become part of Yah's bride. And as part of Yah's bride, just like think of the Exodus account, Yah protects his bride. You're the apple of his eye. So what evil is going to prevail over Yah's bride? Yah desperately wants to be with his bride. Yah wants to dwell among his people. So that's how that's done. So with respect to my own initiatives in order to form this, and I started a local currency in Breckenridge in Colorado, where we formed our own monetary system, and in the promotion of that's a usury-free economic system, and the intention of that I shared with the membership of that. You know, at one point we had about 100 businesses that joined, and we part of the marketing that I would hand out was the plan to hire the county sheriff. That was back 10 years ago. I was a constitutionalist. I'm no longer a constitutionalist. The plan was to hire the Jubilee sheriff, which is a sheriff who would work for the people instead of the international monetary system in the form of the international petrodollar. The system will always be subverted if the sheriff is hired by the international petrodollar, because you're then working for Mammon instead of working for the people. So the petrodollar, everybody is serving the dollar instead of the money being used as a technology to serve us. Hey Xavier, how you doing? Good to see your activity online. I appreciate you, brother. I know Xavier from 10 years back, and he's a monetary reform guy for all of that time. We are both active in We Are Change, 9/11 Truth Group in Tampa and Florida, and so he's a longtime truther. So I appreciate these guys that focus on monetary reform, because the next steps that these devils are going to do is known as the Great Reset. So in order to get your debt canceled and to buy and sell, you're going to have to get the vaccine. That's what this whole COVID-19 has been about the whole time. It's just a smoke screen for additional economic and monetary control over our society. That's why they're going cashless. You can see it on all their stores and all the nonsense they do. So the solution to all of this is biblical economics and tribal exodus government. That's what we should do instead of voting. And It's something you can do. There's no need for voting. There's no need for waiting. There's no need to be dependent on a majority. There's no need for any excuses. There are no excuses. It's something that you can start today. It's something that you can start a local currency today. Design it. For more details on that, check out JewDebtRevolt.com, or my website for kids is serpentcrusher.com. This is how we beat these devils, and that's how it goes. I'm getting close to my pool site, Xavier. I was gonna try to bring you on, but I gotta use my GPS to find the pool that I'm going to right now. So that's the solution. It's biblical, scriptural, and Yah will protect his anointed.